Okay, let's get organized over here. Mm. We have issues with the internet, so I have to come down to a different position, which makes it a little bit more complicated. Very confusing. Confucius. So anyway, the non-dual clarity in us greets the non-dual clarity in you. It's such an incredible quality, this one is. So when we look at the quality of clarity, clear sight, it's in Hermetic traditions associated with a kind of psychic clairvoyance, clear sight, clairaudience, clear listening, clairsentience, and you can really feel clearly what's going on. And when you look in other traditions, like Buddhism and mystical traditions, this clarity is also connected with spiritual awakening, the clarification of consciousness. Seeing things as they are, without needing to change a thing. So when we begin to see things as they are, something is in a process of clarification, and often we think that the thing which is clarifying is this mess out there. That somehow we're seeing through all of the entanglements and all of the fog, all of the difficulties, to see as it how it is, which is somehow secretly other than what it is. Then the other side of seeing things as they are, seeing clearly, is clarifying perception itself, coming with a consciousness which itself is without agenda, which is not interfering, which is not wanting things to be other than what they are, therefore is like pushing it this way or pushing it that way. So what is it inside of us which interferes with clear sight or clear consciousness or clear sentience or clear audience, clear perception? So there's this amazing, faculty that we have, especially as humans, and that's the faculty of the brain and the mind. And the mind, I mean, in terms of the human conditioned mind. The mind that thinks it knows it all, or feels it has to know it all in advance, otherwise it's somehow incapacitated. The mind which helps us structure the information that comes towards us. And this mental faculty is so often interfering with perception. And we might think that's okay, let's say this is because we are, we have an agenda. So we want to be positive and happy and free, so we only see positive and happy and free things, or we want the whole world to be as dark and negative as we feel, so we only see dark and negative. But then the moment we begin to look into like why we would have any kind of agenda, mental agenda, which would cloud our consciousness or funnel it or filter it, we have to move beyond what is traditionally called the mind or the dimension of thought into our energetic state. Feelings and emotions which maybe the mind has a conflict with, shadowlands. Because if we could freely choose, I'm sure we would all want to see things as they are, which is nirvana, which is pure paradise. To see the pristine goodness and purity in everything. But something is filtering this, and this filtering is a kind of background negativity or residues of emotion. Inherited miasmas, states of being. So that sometimes it can feel like even though we are here, we don't only have clarity of not have clarity of mind, we also don't really have clarity of heart. And even our body isn't behaving very clearly. It's so often confused in what can feel like an unnatural environment. We lack clarity. And now we see that clarity can already move through 3 dimensions. A clear heart. To feel things directly as they are. For the body to sense in the here and now, in the potency of the here and now, which is so fresh and so alive, in such a way that that becomes central. And old miasmas, old afflictions from the past, old trauma of the body become secondary. Clarity. So what we're beginning to experience is that clarity is always in the here and now. This is why it's such a powerful non-dual quality. Like it's so much based on being here now, conscious, aware. Through mind, through heart, through body. And these moments of clarity become moments which become almost ingrained on the soul. It's like we will never forget those moments. Because it's almost like they're beyond the dimension of memory. So what we're looking at when we talk about clarity is the lack of interference, those breakings of the cloud, the spaces between, the space between sensations, the space between feelings, waves of feeling, waves of emotion, the space between thoughts or behind thoughts, the space between the squawking of the parrot in the background, which is an unfortunate byproduct of having to be next to the internet. And in that moment, it's like the clouds are parting and there's this sucker hole and sunlight is coming through from a deeper dimension, a more essential dimension of consciousness, unadulterated. It's almost like we become most ourselves when we try the least, when we make the least effort, when we're least split. So this splitting principle has so much to do with agenda. And agenda is the birth of duality. So the first of our agendas, which is ingrained into us as fear reflexes and survival reflexes from birth, is that we must be good and not bad. We have to be a good one and not a bad one. And at its extreme, we must be divine and not evil. Or else. Now, it's never really laid out to us in first grade what it is, this or else, and what happens to us. But, it's pretty much all the collective fears are lined up, in an implicit way. We will go insane. We will get locked up. We will lose our freedom. We will lose all social connection. We will be thrown out of the classroom. We will be banished. But this amorphous or else, something terrible will happen to us and everybody else as well, and it will be all our fault. So we have to have this agenda. It's injected deeply into our bones. We have to have this agenda of being good and not bad. But if we have to make an effort to be good, strive to be good, work hard to be good, invest all the time in being good, and at the same time be hyper vigilant about not being bad, then what does that say about our essence, about what we're made of? What does it say about our consciousness when it's free, when it's unborn? What we are at the core? If we have to strive to be good, it would suggest that we're not already good enough, that there's something wrong with us. So all of this energy, all of this vitality invested in being other than what we are, meaning good, is also investing in the belief that we are bad. I have to prove to you that I'm okay. Why do I have to prove that I'm okay? Could it be because somewhere in the background, I very, very deeply believe I'm not okay? A very deep sense of wrongness, a deep sense of being out of place, being somehow blinded, dissonant, being the wrong note in the orchestra, being that one in the choir that sings slightly out of tune. And I have to say, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. And the more I say I'm okay, the more you're going to think there's something really not okay about her. It's creating its opposite. And this is like, welcome to duality. And it's on the wings of agenda. And the agenda is saying to be educated, we're going to educate you. And for this, you have to decide, determine on being better without even knowing what you are. So there is such a betrayal already at that stage of what the essence is. You must be good and not bad. And it becomes coercive. Because who decides what's good and not bad? Who decides what's on the right side of history, what's on the wrong side of history? Who draws the line? So at a certain stage, as we're growing up, we might find that actually what we thought was good is not necessarily good, and what we thought was bad is not necessarily bad, and everything can turn around, and it's not at all what it seems, and what we've been told has been by some kind of psychopathic entity that was actually trying to control us all. And then for a while, it can be as belief systems begin to scramble. It can be so confusing. We don't know who to trust anymore. Can we trust our doctors? Can we trust our government? Can we trust our teachers? Can we trust our parents? And the heart wants to be in a union, wants to be aligned, wants to know that everything's okay because it's learned somehow that it's not okay, even though it is in the background, but there's a split there. But on the other hand, there is this deep, deep, deep ongoing invalidation. So we become confused. And confusion's not allowed, because when we get confused, then we're really like, this is going into the mental insanity kind of collective fear, the fear of insanity, the fear of really losing control. It's not just agenda that goes out the window, it's control as well. And if we lose self-control, who knows what could happen to us? All of those terrible stigmatizing things will be seen as crazy, will be locked up, will be banished. So we mustn't lose control, but if we get confused, we don't know what to say. We don't know what's going on, like a deer in the headlights. We don't know what to believe anymore. It can be quite a crisis. And so in the first level, there's confusion. In the second level, there's a great uprising of dread and fear because we have to know. Confusion is not safe. Confusion is kind of terrifying, and confusion then begins to feel a little bit like fear. And the mind gets even more clouded. And if we're really, really strong-willed, maybe what we can do is come with a very strong mental willpower, strong agenda, and just make something up. We go that way. We do it like this. This is the plan with COVID, A, B, C, D, and then we're done. As if we know. We can't make it, so we fake it. But then what? Are we again like abandoning ourselves in a deeper level in the failure to admit that actually we don't know a thing, that we are children lost in the night, in the forest, navigating the unknown, day after day, conflict after conflict, and the greatest, most dangerous territory of the unknown that we're navigating is the human psyche, meaning ourselves. This strange operator called humanity. So what's needed then? Where do we find clarity? Is it clarity outside ourselves when we look into the world? No. Is it clarity inside ourselves? Well, Just there seems to be nothing there, just this confusion that became a fog, which became a kind of numb place, like what's interesting on the inside. And when we suffer the confusion, it feels like that's not allowed, but actually the suffering of the confusion becomes a kind of movement through some kind of cloud, which could mean that we're about to break through into the open sky. Because if we can allow the sensation of confusion, like white noise between different channels on a radio, at a certain moment, consciousness becomes conscious of itself as consciousness and no longer embedded inside thought, embedded inside the agenda to be this or to be that, or embedded in the idea that we are a separate entity that somehow has to survive within the togetherness, within the world, within the unity, within all our different parts, that we have to somehow, as a separate entity, hold all the separate entities within ourselves together and protect against demons and all of this while being at war with the world and our neighbors. There's a possibility when we can switch to feeling and allow the vibration of confusion and relax, that the layer of fear associated with confusion, this residue of trauma, this dread around confusion, that gets a chance to disperse a bit. And the layer of shame, which is really trauma-based, residue of trauma around confusion, that has a chance to dance and do its thing and on its way. And the area of being wrong or being a failure or being bad for being confused, that also can just drop to the ground. And maybe at a certain moment, there's just this experience of the buzz of the mind without agenda, not knowing anything at all, where it's going, what it should be doing, where it comes from, who we are, what we are, where we are. If it's all our fault, that would be a leap. And in that moment, there's the possibility of an awakening of consciousness behind the confusion, because you can't really identify with confusion and say, I am that. I'm a confused human. That would be a split. There's a possibility that consciousness with the feeling aspect becomes aware that it is free and that this is just an experience of which is a kind of instrument which attunes here and attunes there and which can build theories, structures, and which can rest. Now, it's a process because at a certain moment, the relaxation will also begin to soothe the biochemistry of the body. It's okay to be confused. It's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay not to know where we're going. Or it's okay not to know what to say. It's okay not to know how to connect. It's okay to be alone. And at a certain moment, something, because consciousness is so alive in the here and now, something of consciousness that you are, that you've always been, that you will always be. Before you were born, behind it all, after you've given back the equipment in this place. Something of this consciousness, which is always here now, infinite, eternal, opens its eyes as you and looks into the world. And now it's not looking into the world of the newspapers and social media, and it's looking maybe into the greenness of a plant in the garden. And not say, even with naming it, just seeing it as it is. Clear sight, clarity. Experiencing the air or the sunlight in the air, on the face, clear sentience, clarity, as it is, without needing to change a thing. And the most amazing thing with this is that when clarity comes online, it begins by sounding like a dissociated abstract thing, but when clarity really begins to come online and the senses begin to come, and we don't change a thing, it becomes intimately part of our own essence in a way. So we could experience the wind on our face, and it's like it's our wind. It's us moving as the wind. We can experience the greenness of the leaves in the tree moving with the sunlight. And we are that. Familiar, presence within it. It's not other. And there's something so incredibly natural about it, but it's natural with a big, big Zen N, which it sounds so simple, and it's so not easy to stay there. Because moments of this clarity, moments of pure experience, moments of looking, they say looking beyond the veil, but the veil was never there. It was always in the past or the future. It was never here. But these moments are so exciting, so extremely alive, that what happens is that the mind lurches in and says, I'm going to teach all about that, or I'm going to write about that, or I'm going to tell this. And we start telling ourselves the story of it. And then we have an agenda to prove something that now we're okay because we had this experience, and off we go again. Until that wears thin, and then the confusion comes back, this sober admission of not knowing anything at all, still not knowing anything at all, because we're never going to know anything at all. Never. Not when it comes to this dimension. We can only be it. We can only live it. We can only breathe it. We can only sense through it, and in the sensing through it, release it with the sensing, because we can't grasp hold of it. This is where the clarity is coming from. So this clarity is a transformative quality, and it's not transforming anything other than our perception. It's not changing what we see, it's changing how we perceive. If God was to come, or the goddess, and to walk through the fields, they would experience this world through clarity. And if they were to look at you, they find you in the field, and they were to look directly at you with clear sight, through clarity, deeply through you, as you are, without needing to change a thing, it would be a celebration. And immediately there would be a response. And words like clarity, validation, permission to exist, affirmation, all of these fall away, because it's so much more than that. It's pure connection. It's pure unity in a separate form in the moment. So what does this mean when we boil it down out of the sublime, non-dual, delicious field of possibility into our regular, everyday, humble lives? What it means is that when we experience confusion, it's very, very worthwhile not to buy into the story around it, and not to jump on the bandwagon having to sort it out and make order and all of this, at least not for 5 minutes. To connect with the deeper consciousness behind the confusion, not to have to solve it, not to have to puzzle it out, to let ourselves not know, to let ourselves rest without falling asleep, but to attend to our being here as an incredibly alive, perceptive expression of the whole universe, which is experiencing a bit of confusion in the mind, which can be watched. Witness the confusion in this mind of ours. You see, we tend to think that we will solve the problems of humanity by coming with solutions. Or we solve the problems of the family by coming with solutions. And we jump to the solutions. This is the agenda. But all of these conundrums, all of these problems, they're never, ever really solved by more conundrums, by more dictations of how to be on the right side, or how to do it good, or how to do it right. The solution always begins and ends with a dimension shift to look at things more clearly as they are. Confusion arises, agenda arises when we are not able to see things exactly as they are in the here and now. And any good doctor knows that if we can't see things clearly, see what's really happening inside the body, for example, how can we treat it? And if we decide we know, we can make mistakes. And we are all doctors to ourselves in a way. So this space and time to connect to things as they are, to take the journey with what is, rather than what should be or what's supposed to be, brings a meeting position which is so incredibly worthwhile, in which action or movement or decisions happen by themselves. It's like, something is falling, your hand moves to catch it. If we argue with it and say it shouldn't be falling, it should be going the other way, or who dropped it, or whose fault is it, it's going to crash on the floor. We want as much as possible to take the invitation of confusion or the invitation of agenda, which is behind the suffering, to take our hands off and to become conscious of our own consciousness in the here and now, and to look again at what is actually being experienced, including the filters. Not a mental thing, but a seeing. Not just a seeing, but a feeling. Not just a feeling, but also a listening. Already you see it begins to be a conversation, not just a listening, but also a touching of the situation, sniffing it, tasting it, receiving it, experiencing directly. Okay, we take 5 minutes and then we will go to a clarity meditation.
So, welcome back, everybody. It's so nice to see some of you. So, let's move into the guided meditation. So, if you could find a relaxed position, a comfortable position, and just take some time to relax the body a bit. Maybe relax your neck a little bit. Can move it a little bit if you want. And relax your shoulders. Let them hang down. And relax the chest area. Maybe breathe in deeply a few times and breathe out. And relax the belly. And the back. And try to relax your behind and the pelvic area, the lower back. And find a relaxed position for your legs, your upper legs. And your lower legs. And relax your arms and shoulders again. And your wrists. Maybe by moving your hands a little bit. And your hands. And your fingers. And now I'd like you to connect with your breathing. And just follow your breathing in and out. We're following our breathing in and out. And then I like you to connect in nature with a symbol of clarity. It can be clear water from a spring or clear air high in the mountains. Or maybe the clarity in the eyes of a hawk or an eagle. Whatever speaks to you as a symbol from clarity, just connect with it. And when you connect with your symbol of clarity, I'd like you to connect with the energy of clarity which is there in and around this symbol. And maybe it's possible to breathe this energy of clarity in and to breathe out whatever wants to release. We are breathing the energy of clarity in, and we breathe out whatever wants to release. And maybe it's possible to breathe this vibration of clarity in to all the cells of the body. We're breathing a vibration of clarity in to all the cells of the body. And at the same time, we are aware how our body is reacting to this. You're breathing in the vibration of clarity to all the cells of the body. And we're breathing out whatever wants to release. And then I'd like you to regress back to a moment in your life that you were ruled very strongly by an agenda, maybe according to some beliefs or a judgment towards yourself or others, or both. Or maybe based on a certain mood you were in. Just move back to such a moment. And just notice how your body is reacting on this. Where your body is reacting the strongest. And we move into the atmosphere of having an agenda. And just take time to feel the atmosphere you're in when you're moving, perceiving, acting according to an agenda. And be aware which parts of the body are reacting the strongest on this atmosphere. And then I'd like you to again connect with the vibration of clarity. You're connecting with the vibration of clarity. And we breathe in the vibration of clarity exactly to those areas which were affected the strongest when we were connecting with an agenda. We breathe in the vibration of clarity exactly to those places which were strongest affected. And we breathe out whatever wants to release. We breathe out whatever wants to release. And then I'd like you to connect with a moment of confusion, a moment in your life that you really felt confused. And just try to feel the vibration, the energy of confusion, the energy of that moment. And notice where you feel the strongest effect in your physical body. Where do you feel the strongest effect? And maybe it's possible to allow this vibration of confusion to expand a little bit, to make it a little bit bigger. And try to relax in it as much as possible. And notice where in the body are the strongest reaction on this sense of confusion. And I'd like you to connect again with the vibration of clarity. We are reconnecting with the vibration of clarity. And we breathe in this vibration towards the areas which were coming forward the strongest when we connected with confusion. We breathe in the clarity to those areas which were mostly affected. And we breathe out whatever wants to release. We breathe out whatever wants to release. Then we connect again with the physical body. You're connecting with the physical body. And just try to feel the weight of your body. The weight of your body on the chair, on the mattress, the couch, the bed. And at the same time that we are aware of the weight of our body, we connect with the sense of clarity. Sense of clarity in and around your head. Sense of clarity in and around the chest area. A sense of clarity in and around the pelvic area. A sense of clarity in and around the whole body. Okay, it's time to say goodbye to the people on the live stream, not to the people on Zoom. We are going on a little bit longer. And thank you for being with us and sharing this evening with us. And we hope to see you next week and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Okay, bye. And we take a 5-minute break. And after 5 minutes, there will be some space for questions and sharing. And of course,